this Nathan?
Yeah, who's this?
Hi, Nathan. This is Harry from Highway Haven. You recently showed interest in car insurance through our Facebook ad. Do you have a moment for a few quick questions?
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Great. I see here that you drive a 2022 BMW X5. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. Could you tell me approximately how many miles are on your vehicle?
Probably around 45,000.
Got it, about 45,000 miles. Are you currently insured or are you looking for new coverage?
Yeah, I'm currently insured.
Great. How long have you been insured with your current provider?
Probably around 3 years now.
Thanks for sharing that. Could you also let me know your zip code? This helps us tailor the coverage to your area.
It's 19147.
Perfect, thanks. Lastly, have you had any driving incidents like accidents or tickets in the past 12 months?
Just a few parking tickets, but nothing major, no.
Got it, no major incidents in the past 12 months? Would you prefer to receive your personalized quote via email or a phone call?
Yeah, you can give me a call.
All right. I have your phone number as 164-649-37480. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you, Nathan. You're all set. We'll reach out to you soon with your personalized quote. Let me know if there's anything else I can assist you with.
All right, awesome, thanks.
Glad to hear that. Have a great day, Nathan.
As you just seen, I just triggered a batch call from Retell AI using a CSV with the leads that I want to reach out to. In this case, it's just one for demo purpose. And then the voice agent make the call to the lead, and then it would ask them some qualifying questions, in this case in the context of a car insurance agent. And then it will make the decision whether the lead is qualified or not based on the criteria that I set. And then it simply write the lead's information into a CRM, in this case Google Sheets right here. Now that was just for one lead, but what if you want to do that for hundreds or thousands of leads just by providing the CSV, and then the AI would just take care of the rest? Well, with Retell AI Batch Calling, it's possible. If you have run a campaign to generate leads before, then you know how time consuming it is to go through the list, call each person, and qualify them. Not everyone will pick up, and not every person who picks up the phone will be qualified. And it might be okay for smaller campaigns, but for bigger campaigns with hundreds or thousands of leads, it might take you hours or even days to go through all those leads, right? Now, what if there is an easy way to use AI to call all those leads automatically, qualify them based on your criteria, then store their information into your CRM without you having to lift a finger? Well, now there is. Retell AI recently released their batch calling functionality that allows you to do just that simply by providing a CSV with all your leads. And better yet, you can personalize each call by injecting dynamic variables into the prompt so that it can tailor the conversation for each of the lead that it's talking to. In this video, I will show you exactly how to do that by building an AI voice agent for lead qualification for an insurance agency. So before getting into batch calling, let's talk about how the voice agent is set up. Just like with any other agent, we would need to write a system prompt to provide the voice agent with more context on its task as well as what we expect of it. So here I specify the role of the voice agent, give it a name for a personal touch, right? Some context. And then here I provide it with the information of the lead that is supposed to be calling. And here I'm providing the name of the lead, the vehicle type, the phone number, and the email. So you will see this information again when we walk through the batch calling function and how we actually provide and inject this information into the prompt. So just keep this in mind for now. And then here I'm specifying the task that the voice agent is supposed to carry out. So confirm the user's name, explain the context of how we are contacting them, explain how we got their contact information, why we are calling them. So just to be clear, this is not cold calling. So the preface for this call is that we already run a marketing campaign, maybe social ad, maybe running ads on Facebook, that helps us gather the information from this lead. So the lead voluntarily provide this information to us and provide us with consent to call them. So that's why we can call them without breaking any regulations regarding cold calling, because this is not cold calling. And so here we are just explaining what's happening to the lead so that they feel more comfortable with us, know who we are and how they interacted with us before. And then here we confirm the vehicle type, then we ask a few qualifying questions about their car and their driving. And then here I provide some simple qualifying criteria for the voice agent to use and to decide whether the lead is qualified or not, and then take certain action depending on whether they are qualified or not. And so another thing to note is that if the qualification process is more complicated than this, then it might not be the best idea to include it directly into the prompt. We might set up a separate automation, maybe on make.com or n8n, to use a separate LLM model to take care of the qualification part. Or if we are working with a more established business, they might already have some kind of API that accepts some information about the lead and return whether the lead is qualified or not. So we can just call that API. In this case, for the demo purpose, to keep it simple, I just include that here in this section of the prompt. Right, and then after that, we specify to the voice agent what would happen if the lead is qualified versus if the lead is not qualified. Right. And then finally, we run the store in CRM function to store the information of the leads inside a Google Sheets, as I showed you earlier here. So as you can hear, all of the information that we gathered from the conversation with the lead has already been stored here, as well as the decision whether they are qualified or not. And if they were not qualified for whatever reasons, then the voice agent is going to also send that information as disqualification reason to the CRM. And then here I have an example conversation for the voice agent to have some reference regarding the style and the tone of the conversation that it should strive for. And then down here, just some notes of how to carry out the conversation, how to say certain things, what are the important edge cases that it should be aware of. And then down here I have the first message as well, referencing the lead's name that we inject into the prompt as well, to make the conversation more personalized. So if you remember in the demo call, the voice agent said, "Hello, is this Nathan?" because that's the name that we provided of the lead. Here I'm using GPT-4o as the LLM model. You might be able to use GPT-4o mini as well, which will reduce the latency a little bit, as you can see here. But I prefer to use GPT-4o in this case because there's the qualification part, which requires more intelligence from the agent to make the right decision. And so that's why I went for 4o in this case. For the voice, I'm using Brian, which is this voice here. And yeah, I just find it to be quite natural. One thing that you can do with the voices as well is that you can play around and configure how it sounds in terms of the speed, how fast or slow it is, or how calm or emotional you want it to be, as well as the volume. And this really is a trial and error, right? So you pick a voice that you like, and then you listen to the calls, and then you might notice that, okay, it's a bit monotone, and you might want to increase the voice temperature here a little bit, which is what I did. Or you might really like the the emphasis of the voice already, but it might be a bit too slow, then in that case you might want to increase the voice speed here just a little bit. So feel free to try out the different voices and configure it the way that you see fit for your particular use case. Another thing to note here as well is that I'm using 11 Labs Flash VE 2.5 for the text-to-speech model, and it just got released last month and is supposed to be the fastest text-to-speech model that 11 Labs ever produced. 75 milliseconds latency, and I do notice a difference when comparing it with other 11 Labs text-to-speech models, but yeah, just something that you can try for yourself that was recently released. Now here in the prompt you can see that I'm referencing store in CRM function to store the leads information after we have talked to them, and here is where the function gets defined. So basically we are giving the function the name, the description, and then the server URL to define where we would send the information to, and that's where the operation to store the leads information into CRM happens. In this case, we are just using a simple make.com automation to integrate with Google Sheets to store information in there. The next important part of this function is the parameters. So here we are specifying what kind of information we are sending to the function. So as the voice agent carry out the conversation, right, it will keep track of the information that we care about through the name and the description of these fields, of these different properties right here, and then it will basically at the end of the conversation send this information, extract the information from the conversation, and then send those information to our server, where we will in turn store that information into the Google Sheets. And if we jump over to make.com, we will see how exactly that happens, right? So this is what happens when the function is called from Retell. We would send the information about the conversation, exactly the same information that I have specified, that I have defined here, exact same information. We would get that on make.com because the server URL that we define here is the same as the server URL that we are instructing the system to send the information to, right? And so because of that, we receive the information from Retell AI, and then we are going to basically store that information, adding a new row to a Google Sheets that we have defined and connected to here. And then we just make sure that we are storing the corresponding fields that we receive from Retell AI to the right column that we have defined in the Google Sheets. So this Google Sheets that I'm connecting to here is the same Google Sheets that I have showed you guys previously with the same columns and everything. And so we are basically just matching the corresponding fields that we get from Retell AI into this Google Sheets. And as usual, I will leave the automation as well as the system prompt and the function definition in the description of the video, so you guys can reference when you want to try to do this on your own. So in order to batch calling leads using this agent that we just defined here, we first need to set up a phone number, whether importing it from Twilio or buy a new phone number directly from Retell AI right here. And after we have the phone number, then what we can do is that we can simply assign the outbound call agent here to the agent that we want. And once you do that successfully, if you go to agent, then you would see that, okay, that voice agent that we want to use has been assigned to this phone number. And so now we can use this agent via this phone number to batch call leads. So now that we have everything set up, let's get into batch calling. So first we click on the batch call tab in the side panel here, right? And you will see like the batches that I have done already, including the one related to the demo. But say if we want to create a new batch call, then this is what we'll do. So we are going to enter a name, and then we are going to specify the number, which also means specifying which agent we are going to use, because if you remember in the previous part, we already assigned this phone number to the voice agent that we want to use, right? So that's all good. And then here we upload the recipient, so upload the leads that we want to call. So to do this, we can download the template that Retell provides to us, and that basically looks something like this. So the first field is always going to be the phone number. This is the phone number of the lead that we are trying to call, the recipient of the call. And then in the subsequent columns, that's where we can specify the dynamic variables, the attributes that we want to insert into the call, insert into the prompt of the voice agent in order to personalize the conversation with this lead. And so in this case, in the prompt earlier, you can see that I'm specifying 4 pieces of information, 4 dynamic variables for the voice agent to use, right? Name, vehicle, phone number, email. And you can see how the name of the variables matches the names of the fields that I'm giving the voice agent. And so what happens when we set up everything and then we click send, then Retell AI will take this list of recipients and it will make outbound calls to each of them. And for each of the call that it makes, it's going to insert these dynamic variables directly into the prompt, which results in the kind of personalized conversation that you saw with what I did. And then we can also set when we want the calls to be sent. So do we want the calls to be sent immediately, or do we want to schedule it for a specific date and time later, right? One thing to note is that even when we do send now, it might take a minute or two for Retell to actually send out the call. In my case, it took 30 seconds. And so now if we upload an actual list of recipient, then we would see the estimated time to complete the calls here, which is about 5 minutes if there's only one call. And so what happens if we want to do, say, 500 calls, right? So here I provide Retell with a list of 500 leads to call, and as you can see, the estimated time to complete increases to 130 minutes. And I think this is because by default for an user there is a cap of 20 concurrent calls per user. And so what this basically means is that Retell AI can carry out 20 calls for these 20 leads at the same time, and then we would move on to the next 20 and next 20, and that's why the estimated time is like this. And so there's also an option to speed up the time. So this allows us to increase that concurrency cap from 20 to say 30 or 40, and so that would help decrease the estimated time to complete all these calls, because Retell can carry out more calls at the same time. If we increase the concurrency, that would mean paying a bit more for the concurrency. Another thing to notice is that each of the batch call will cost $0.005 per dial. So per each of these call, Retell also charge this small amount of money as well, on top of how much the call would cost per minute. But obviously, if the user doesn't pick up, then you will not get charged this cost here. And so once everything is set up, you can simply click send here, and then the calls would go out to these leads automatically with the information that you provided in the CSV. And so once we done a batch call, which we can go back here, we would see all of the results of the batch being listed here. And so for this batch, which is the one that I use for the demo, here we can see the results. So 1 sent, 1 pickup, and 1 successful. And if we want to see exactly how that call went, we can click on this right here. And so this would take us to the call history tab. Automatically applies the ID of the batch call, so that we only see the calls for the specific batch that we just selected. In this case, there was only 1 call since there's only 1 lead in the list. And so here we can look at the calls, we can see how long it took, we can see how much it cost. We can click on the call to listen back to it here. We can see the different information about the call, including how successful it is, the user sentiment, There's a summary of the call here as well, and you can look at the transcript, which is the important part. And you can even look at how it invoked the tool, how it invoked the function storing in CRM, whether it's calling the function with the correct inputs, the correct parameters, which can be really useful in testing. You can see the result, and here we can see the data or the dynamic variables being passed into the conversation. So, and that's how you can automate calling and qualifying all your leads at the same time using AI. Something that used to take a lot of time and effort to do, or would be quite technically difficult to automate, now becomes very easy thanks to no-code development platforms like Retell AI. Let me know in the comments what other businesses you think would benefit from a process like this. And as usual, if you find the video to be useful or interesting, please give it a like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help keeps me going to keep creating content like this for you guys. And yeah, that's it from me today. Stay curious, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.